fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. For your latest news in high school sports, tune in to the fish report. Don't need no bed, don't need no pull. When you tune in to the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. Hanging at the fish report. You got Craig and TK and Head and D tuned in at the fish report.
Coming to you live from Studio F in Russia, Ohio. It's the Fish Report Live Show with your hosts, Craig Fissinger and Ken Francis.
Welcome, everyone, to another Fish Report Live. Thanks for joining us. I'm Craig Fissinger. That is Ken Francis. We're your host. Back in our sound room tonight, two guys we like to call TK and Heavy D. We'll check in with them a little bit later in the program. And out in Studio R, it's Brandon Coverman, or as I like to call him, Covey, and as Ken likes to call him, Covio.
Yeah, Covio last week. I'm not sure why, but Covey, I'll go back to Covey this week. Covio just came out last week. I thought it sounded kind of fun.
Well, lots of fun to talk about this week, Ken. We're getting deep into the postseason in golf, getting close to the postseason, volleyball, cross country, and in football. We're about halfway through the regular season.
Yeah, we are, Craig. Tournament draw for volleyball this weekend, Craig. A lot of good volleyball, of course, in this area with the MAC and the Shelby County League, and, of course, Lehman also having a very good year. And then, Craig, we're going to talk some football tonight. Really looking forward to our interview with the head coach of the Arcanum Trojans, the undefeated team headed up by Jason Schondelmyer. He's really got the Trojans rolling this year, Craig. Going to be exciting to talk to him. We're going to recap a little bit of the golf district championship won by the Fort Loramie Redskins, and congratulations to them and the Bakkens Trojans. Both represent the Shelby County Athletic League very well. And so it's going to be a lot of fun tonight, Craig. We got a big show ahead of us.
Yeah, I like to step outside the SCAL every once in a while and talk a little CCC, that conference. Of course, we like to talk MAC as well, and for that, we'll start things out talking MAC, go out to Studio R and check in with Brandon Coverman out there. And Brandon, I got to ask you, do you like the nickname Covey, as I like to call you, or do you like Covio, as Ken likes to say?
I don't know. I kind of mistaken Covio with Cheerios, so I don't know. I'll just stick with Covey because it's been working for a while.
All right, well, we're going to talk some MAC football. I know that. 5 big games coming up this Friday, as we've been doing every week, previewing those games. Let's get things started out with Anna at Versailles. And Covey, you know, Anna gets their first loss of the season last week. This game's at Versailles. Versailles winners of 2 in a row. The question is Tiger Ball back?
It's getting there. It's getting there. You know, reading in the paper, they had a really nice win over Delphus on Saturday over there, and they're playing from behind, and they're getting there. That young core, them skill position players there for Coach Ryan Jones are getting there. But Versailles sitting at 3-2, but they're going to go through a really tough stretch here, beginning with the Anna Rockets this week. And I know it's home field advantage for the Tigers, but I don't think it'll mean much. The big problem with Anna, you know, I did that game Friday, is Anna wasn't very dynamic as they used to be. We talk about Hughes Camp Bixler every week. It was very one-dimensional offense, and Marion really sniffed it out, so to speak. Only one offensive touchdown by the Anna Rockets, and that was one play where he had one screen pass to Hughes Camp and 2 runs, and he scored. Other than that, their other touchdown came defensively. So Anna's got to be a little more dynamic. You may want to see a little more investment in the pass game if you're Coach Marino. But I think the Rockets roll here pretty easy.
Covey, let's go over to New Bremen and talk about another game in the MAC, and that's Coldwater at the New Bremen Cardinals. You know, last week, the Cardinals, Covey, they beat St. Henry the first time since forever. Can they do the same to the Cavaliers Friday night?
Yeah, New Bremen come out with a nice rush attack. Zach Berkey, 85 yards there on the ground game there for Coach Schmidt. They were previously shut out in their previous 4 games against St. Henry, 162-0. So a little bit of the turntables turn, so to speak. And it's good for New Bremen, but that's not the same St. Henry team we know. And New Bremen's coming in this crucial stretch that we talked about last Thursday, about how they've got a schedule that can open up where they can possibly be 7-3, and this is where they run into one of them tough games that I just don't think they'll win. I like the air attack of Jake Hemmelgarn. Coldwater is definitely jockeying for position right now with the Marion Local Flyers as the top team right now in the MAC, and possibly putting themselves up there as the Division 6 favorites because the Flyers aren't even in their region. I like the air attack here. I like Coach Otten's team to roll in, stay perfect undefeated at 6-0.
Next game, Covey, is Delphos St. John at Minster. On paper, this one looks like an easy win for Minster. I wouldn't blame Coach Stokes if he might already be looking forward to that St. Henry game coming up the following week.
Yeah, St. Henry usually a team that Minster kind of struggle with from time to time, so you gotta look at what's in front of you here. And like I said, this still isn't the same Delphos team. Struggled, lost a lead late there to Versailles, and come back. Minster's just playing fundamental Minster football that they've been playing ever since Garen Stokes gets there. A good option running quarterback, nice offensive lineman up front, a solid running back, mixed in with some solid defense. I like the Wildcats rolling here pretty easy at home here, so they'll advance to 5-1.
Covey, there's going to be a lot of people in Minster Friday night for a different event called the Oktoberfest.
That's what I was thinking.
Will that have an effect on that game whatsoever or not?
It may affect the adult section a little bit. Maybe a little more adult beverages will be consumed.
Let's talk a little bit about the next game in the MAC, Covey, and that's the Parkway Panthers traveling to Fort Recovery. Both teams come in at 0-3 in the MAC, Covey, but you know what? On paper, this might be the MAC game of the week.
Yeah, it seriously could, and you're spot on there, Ken. You got to look at Gavin Schmidt's quarterback over there for Coach Niekamp. I think he'll be the difference maker. Very dynamic over there. That Fort Recovery defense has been the problem. It's been a little inconsistent. That first week in Lehman, they didn't even allow a first down. And then against New Bremen, they just allowed that run game and that option attack just to absolutely kill them. So the Fort Recovery defense has got to show up. But I like their quarterback play for the Indians here, and that's why I'm going to go with the Purple People Eaters.
All right, and our last game in the MAC is St. Henry at Marion Local. Marion, of course, made that big statement with that win against Anna last Friday. Just put me on replay every week, Covey, because from now on, I'm picking Marion. I don't care who they're playing. Marion wins, Flyers win.
Yeah, you could say that for this week. I definitely think the Flyers will roll. I'm actually going to be calling this game for NK Telco. So it's going to be a very good matchup for a little bit. I mean, you got to see St. Henry's been doing a good job in the first half of keeping it close. It's been the second half that's killed them against the teams like Fort Laramie and the teams like Covington. So it's too much for them, that young core still getting together for Coach Brad Luthman over there. But the reason Marion won Friday, for anyone that wasn't at the game, was good fundamental football. And it was sloppy. Marion had 4 turnovers all in the first half, and it had 3 turnovers all in the second half. That Marion just played good fundamental football and really exposed a lot of weaknesses that a lot of people just didn't see in Anna's offense. And that's what you have when you have a program that wins consistently every year like Coach Goodwin's team does. And they were able to run the ball. They were able to win the battle in the trenches. Their beef and their big guys up front were able to create holes for the run game. Quarterback Kyle Mullenkamp, who only completed 55% of his passes this year, was 12 of 16 for 190 yards. I mean, they had a balanced attack, 190 yards through the air, 200 yards on the ground. Charlie Hulsman had 9 interceptions, 132 yards. They got a really nice sophomore defensive back safety by the name of Peyton Oddie, who also doubles as a kick returner and wide receiver. He's very talented. He's going to be a name to remember in the next few years. So you got to look at that, and it's too much Marion. And I know we got Coach Jason Schondelmyer on here soon, Arcanum versus Miami East. I expect the Trojans to roll here easily. You got the play of Coach Schondelmeyer's son, a freshman quarterback, doing a good job being the field general over there. I think the Arcanum Trojans roll to 6-0.
Well, yeah, they've actually got Ansonia this week. It's their homecoming over there. They have Ansonia. They beat Miami East last week. They beat National Trail in overtime the week before that. They don't play Fort Laramie, Covey, so advantage Arcanum, I guess, right?
Yeah, it'll help. So definitely, we haven't even really talked about this because Arcanum's kind of been an out-of-the-blue team. We always said that Laramie was kind of just the jockeying front run, and they still should roll through their schedule really easily. They got Bethel Friday, which should be easily be won by Laramie. But there's a possibility that they could be tied. But Arcanum is going to have to roll into Covington here in a few weeks. And I legitimately do think Covington is the second best team in the MAC. They were a goal line stand away from beating Fort Laramie. So Covington's a legit team, and Arcanum's got to run into them. So that's really going to tell a lot of people where the Trojans stand.
Covey, let me ask you a question. Going back to an earlier MAC game that you talked about, and you talked about how Marion Local dominated Anna. Could the Versailles Tigers perhaps use some of that same defensive philosophy, and maybe surprise Anna Friday night? It's homecoming in Versailles. They're getting jacked up all week over there. Expect a big crowd for the hometown Tigers there. Could they surprise the MAC, knock off the Anna Rockets, and put themselves in playoff contention?
Yeah, you got to go back to the fundamentals of like what Marion did there, and they really took away what's made Anna unique, and that's really made them a one-dimensional team on the ground. And Anna was only 4 of 8 passing with three second-half turnovers, 2 uncharacteristic Riley Hulskamp fumbles. What I think you got to do if you're Versailles is try to force one of those turnovers. It's hard to do when you're facing that good of a backfield, but try to give your offense short field, a lot of easier fields to work with. You got to be able to tackle in space well, too. That's one thing Marion was able to do well. I hit on that key last week, and Marion brought the fundamentals. They were able to tackle in space. Their line was able to dominate up front. They won the battle in the trenches to get 5-6 yards of carry and then bust it for 20 yards whenever they wanted to. So if Versailles can dictate the play in the trenches, get short fields, tackle in space, and get Anna off the field quickly, control time of possession, I think the Tigers, that would give them a shot.
Ken, I came into the show tonight thinking that maybe the MAC games were kind of boring going into Friday night, but Kobe's got me excited.
Oh,
He's
man.
got me excited.
Kobe's got he's got the stats. He knows the guys' names. He knows everything back there. I love it, Kobe, when you talk about the sophomore sensation, the defensive back, punt returner, kick returner, the specialty guys, the skilled positions. You know them all, and great job, Kobe.
Thanks.
All right, guys, we'll look forward to talking to Kobe some more in week number 7 next week.
Absolutely.
Let's change sports, Ken, though, and talk a little district golf. The D3 district happened on Tuesday, the Southwest District, at least, down there at Glenview Golf Course. And it was amazing because 4 Shelby County Athletic League teams were down there playing, as well as some individuals. We talked about that last week, and lo and behold, 2 of them are heading to state.
Yeah, they are, Craig. What a great showing by the Shelby County Athletic League. The Fort Laramie Redskins district champions, Bakkens Trojans the runner-up, and the individuals from Anna Russia also played very well, represented their communities with class. And Craig, I followed you on Twitter. It was really exciting to watch. And shout out to Coach Turner also. I've talked about him before. Congratulations to your team. He's the best Twitterer out there. And he got a little excited though when he made it to state, and he sent his tweet out on the wrong account. Did you catch that?
I did. I missed that.
Yeah, but he corrected it. So, no, great job, Redskins. Good luck next week when you play the Scarlet and Gray course in Columbus, and as well to the Bakkens Trojans.
Yeah, Fort Laramie senior Zach Plyman played extremely well, shot a 77 for medalist honors there at Glenview. And then the Bakkens, very young, 4 sophomores and a senior on that team. So
wow.
I talked to Coach Meyer a little bit afterwards. He was extremely happy. And then I got to give it up for a sophomore over there at Anna, Bryce Cobb. He was in a 3-way tie with an 81 for that last qualifying spot to state. The official said, all 3, you head back out to hole number 1. We're going to have a playoff. So they went out there. Bryce hung in there on the first hole. One of the young men got eliminated. Bryce went to a second hole. They tied. Went to the third hole. Finally, bogeyed a par 3. The other kid actually parred it. So Bryce, a lot of pressure on a young guy like that. Lots of fans out there watching, including all of Shelby County. They were all out there cheering for one of their own. So kind of a neat scene to see that. And neat to see Bryce's dad, Brandon Cobb, who was just on the show a few weeks ago, out there coaching his son. And just a really neat scene. Glad I was there, that's for sure.
Great golf season it was.
And I know fans are probably wondering, well, what about Minster? I heard they're pretty good too. Well, they actually played today. They're up in that Northwest District. Haven't got the results in for that yet. Haven't seen them at least. So I'm sure Minster probably has plans on heading to Columbus as well. We'll find out here probably after the show's over. And then also I know yesterday then the girls D2, and D2 is small school for girls golf. Versailles bowed out of the tournament. Their team was competing in that district championship, as well as individual Eva Bullen over there at Fort Laramie. She bowed out, I think, tied for 8th on that one. But she's been to district twice now. A very good golfer. I'm sure she'll be looking forward to heading back again.
I think she carded an 85, Craig, if I remember right.
Yeah, great score.
Great score there by the young Fort Laramie Redskin.
All right, and we'll change sports one more time, Ken, talk a little cross country. And, the postseason, I guess the league meet for the SCAL is coming up next week. So this week is the last week of the regular season. Just a quick update on that. We've got Rushia's going to be down there. They annually go to the Ed Lease Fall Classic down in Eaton. We've been there before. A couple other schools, Fort Laramie Jackson Center, they'll be at the Lions Invitational in Coldwater. And then Anna Bakkens, Fairlawn, and Houston will be at the Anna Invitational, which very, very well may be the last Anna invite with Coach Stewart running that. I think he has plans on maybe retiring here after this year. And I know you've mentioned it many times in the show. He does it all, doesn't he?
Well, he does, Craig. That's first I've heard that Coach Stewart might be retiring. Just actually talked to him the other day. and he's done a great job with the Yana program, Craig. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. You go to cross country meets and track meets, he does everything there. He coaches the team. He keeps clock. He cooks popcorn. He does it all. I mean, I've seen him selling hot dogs and catching people at the finish line. So
well, I don't want to get rumors out there in the Fish Report live page or the NK Telco out there. But Coach Stewart, I've talked to him many times, and he kind of waffles on me, and I'm not sure if he's going to go another year, 2 years.
Yeah.
Sometimes he backs off, sometimes he moves it up. But I know his time is coming close. Got a daughter over in Columbus, and I know he wants to spend some time with grandchildren and family too. So that day's coming here soon. I know that.
Well, whenever it comes, he'll be missed.
All right, well, listen, we're not going to have a chance to get to volleyball. As you mentioned at the top of the show, tournament draws coming up this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We'll talk more about that next week. They wrap up the regular season next week. A lot to talk about in volleyball. We'll get more to that next week. But we're going to take a short break right now. Stay right there, because when we come back, we're going to talk some more football. No more MAC football. We're going to talk about the cross-county conference and that interview with Arcanum coach Jason Schondelmyer.
Stage at the Leaping Band. Music starts at 8 o'clock. You can find us here every Wednesday night. It's usually the same cats every week, but I can't tell you all their names. Teacher, a cat, and a junkie, all waiting for time to play. Everybody here's got something that we're trying to leave behind. We're all a little broken, for a place to hide. Get no answers, don't ask any questions. We're all here just looking for a high. And we're all beautifully broken here tonight.
And welcome back to the second half of Fish Report Live. Before the break, we were previewing some big football games coming up in the Midwest Athletic Conference. Now we're going to talk change conferences at least and talk about the cross-county conference. And that brings us to our next guest. He has an impressive resume of football coaching experience, including stops at Versailles, Kettering Alter, Twin Valley South, the University of Dayton. If you remember, he helped build that program up at Tri-Village when they got started with football. And now he's back where he once started, at Arcanum, where the Trojans this year are currently undefeated at 5-0 and number 6 in the Division 6 Region 24 computer rankings that came out earlier this week. We welcome to the show now Jason Shondelmyer. Coach, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, congratulations on a great first half of the season. As I just mentioned, 5-0 right now, and one that certainly hasn't been easy so far. You had 2 big conference games these last couple weeks, and as we mentioned at the top of our show, an overtime game against National Trail a couple weeks ago, a good game against Miami East last Friday. Coach, what do you like best about this program right now?
It's tough to really just say one factor. I mean, I think it's a collection of things. I like our effort. One of the big things we felt like we needed to change was our effort, and we're big believers that the average play lasts 4 to 6 seconds, and that's not very long. So we expect our guys will play as hard as they possibly can for that 4 to 6 seconds, and I think that's a factor. I think our mental and physical toughness is better than it's been in a long time. We had to kind of learn how to strain a little bit for success, and we had struggled there. And this year's group just has a lot of confidence too as well. So those are several of the factors I think is just our effort and our physical and mental toughness, as well as just the confidence of our kids.
Well, Coach, we're showing some pictures on our monitor right now from some different games throughout the season. Let me first say you've got a great sideline photographer there. She does a good job of taking pictures, and I think you probably know her pretty well, but we love it when we can have interviews and show some very interesting pictures. But one interesting picture I saw was, I don't know if this was from a preseason game or maybe a practice, but your kids have got shirts on that say, "Win the moment." Can you explain, is that a mantra for you this year, or what's that all about?
It is, but I got to comment. I appreciate it. My wife Amy does a great job with that. She's like the behind the scenes MVP. So, I got to get a plug out to her. She's obviously a coach's wife is not an easy task, and but she's always there shooting photos on the sideline. But yes, win the moment. It's like anything, guys. I mean, I think coaches. And it's not something we came up with. I got to be honest with you. It's something that we stole, I believe, from the Ohio State Buckeyes. And for us, it goes back to confidence. Okay, and we needed to teach our kids. And one of the things I constantly tell them is that big time players make big time plays in big time moments. And so we constantly would say that to our kids. And then I believe I saw. Coach Urban Meyer and his group had these shirts, and it said "Win the Moment," and it just kind of, it registered with me, and I felt like our guys needed to have more confidence that they could win a moment when they were called upon and rise up and make a play. So we kind of just used that as our rallying cry this year, and the guys really stepped up to it.
Coach, thanks for joining us this evening on the show. This is Ken. Craig mentioned earlier you've had some close games this year. You've also, you had a big win against National Trail that went into overtime. After the game, post-game media, you talked about your seniors and how happy you were for that group of seniors. Could you talk a little bit about, to our viewing audience, the importance of that senior class and what they've done well for you this year?
Well, yeah, I can't say enough about them. Jaden Helsley, Corey Ross, Braden Garbig, Austin Cuttarelli, Luke Wilson, and J.T. Whitaker. Here's what happens, guys. You go through a rough year. Last year we won 2 games, okay? And when you face adversity, okay, then you start to hear what I call noise. So you hear doubters, you hear, and I want to also remind everybody that we haven't had success here in a long time. So we're talking about basically a decade of kids that have gone through our school system and have not seen Arcanum be successful. So it's real easy to listen to noise and buy into the fact, well, here we go again, we're not going to be successful, we're just not good at football, et cetera, et cetera. These seniors, okay, heard all that, and for young men had thick skin and said, you know what? We believe in what Coach is talking about. We believe in what he's selling us, and we're going to keep grinding, and we're going to get back in the weight room in the off season, and we're going to rise up, and we're going to change it because Coach believes in us, and he tells us that we can do it. And it's adversity. I think people lose sight of winning brings people together, but I think adversity brings people closer together. And having gone through that with this group, and for them to step up this early in the year and be where we're at, is just a credit to those seniors. They're just doing a phenomenal job.
Coach, you got me so excited to play football. I'm about ready. I think I got 4 years of eligibility left. I don't know if you need
well, good.
I don't know if you need
or whatever you got.
I don't know if you need a 53-year-old left-hander or not, but I might be able to do something for you.
As I tell the guys all the time, I'm good for about one play, and it would have to be an ISO because I'm going all in with an ISO block. After that, I'm tapping out. I'm going to be on the sideline calling plays. So.
Hey, your success, it's fun. You're 5-0, and you're the talk of the town, and you're the talk of the CCC. Actually, I mean, you and the Fort Laramie Redskins. I think the 2 dominant teams here. Unfortunately, you don't get to play each other, but mixed in with all this talk about Trojan football is your young starting quarterback, Bryce Schondelmyer. Not only is he good, he's your son. Tell us a little bit how his football IQ has matured throughout the season.
Well, I'll tell you guys, it goes, and I say this jokingly, Bryce has kind of been spoiled when it comes to having some history. Basically, all the time he spent with me on the sideline. He's been at the University of Dayton on the sideline. He's been at Kettering Alder in the shoe for a state championship game. So my point is, and I don't want to take anything from my son, the young man. He's also one of my players, but he really has seen the highest of highs, and then he's been part of building Tri-Village, and when kids don't even know football, and he's seen the lowest of lows. So I think all those experiences have weighed into Bryce, and now I will also add and give him credit. He is a sponge. He is a football junkie sponge, and I noticed way back when in fifth grade, when I saw him pass, he was a fullback then, and he pass protect, and how he saw a blitz that most fifth grade kids would not see, is scanning the field and picking it up, and I thought, oh my goodness, that was a nice play, and so I think part of just being around football, and I give him, and I don't want to sell him short either. Kid, he works really hard, but he's kind of been spoiled. He's been with a lot of good players over the years, and he's seen NFL players and been stood right beside him. So he knows a lot about it, and but he works at it too, guys. He really does, and he's a football junkie, and he'd much rather be hanging out here, hanging out and talking with adults than he does sometimes with kids. But that's Bryce. But he's been doing a great job.
Hey, let's talk about a little bit about the game you've got tomorrow night. You got the Ansonia Tigers coming to town. They're sitting at 3-2 overall. It's homecoming in Arcanum. What's your team going to have to do well? You can't take anybody lightly, and you got to be ready to play tomorrow night.
Yeah, exactly, and that's tough. It's tough. Literally, they can do a 180, even your own community. Like at first, you're okay. I hear the guys are having a good season, but can they beat Trail? And then there's even hometown doubters in that. And then we beat Trail. Okay, well, you beat Trail, but, you've never beat Miami East. Well, there's that doubt. Well, then all of a sudden you win those two, and then you start getting it's a 180. It's like, oh, you guys are going to win this week. And you hear both, but at the same time, it's like, I much prefer when people just tell us how bad we are, and we can just stay that way and be the underdog. But it's one of those games, guys, where you just control what you can control. And we've done that all year, and it starts with those seniors that I mentioned earlier. We're going to control what we can control, and that's effort, and that's 4 to 6 seconds as fast as possible, getting from point A to point B, and then understanding it's a roller coaster ride like always, guys. It's going to be up, then it's going to be down, then we're going to be up again. And we just know the highest of highs aren't the best, and the lowest of lows aren't the lowest points. So we'll just continue to get better and have a next play mentality.
Coach, listen, we're running out of time, but I wanted to ask you one more question. One of the reasons we love doing this show and we love high school sports so much here at Fish Report Live is we love the life lessons that it teaches the student athletes that we follow. Are you a big life lessons guy when it comes to the game of football?
Absolutely. I believe it's really the foundation our program's built on. Actually, it's funny you should ask, because I just had the conversation with the team tonight, and I was just talking about, there's times when you go out to practice, and it's been hot. It seems like it's been July for 3 months now. You go out to practice, and you're tired or you're a little sore, and I just had to talk with the guys about, hey, listen, guys, I hope when you guys graduate and you move on, and I hope when you don't feel the best, okay, and you're a little sore, I hope that as a husband, as a father, as you continue to go, that you wake up in the morning, you get yourself out of bed, and you go and you provide for your family. And we just had that talk tonight, but we tell our players all the time we love them. We're not bashful about that. Some guys don't do that, but we do. But we'll also get on them, and we hold them accountable. So it is a family, and our guys need to understand that they're a part of something bigger than just themselves, and they've been doing great with that.
Listen, Coach, that's a great interview. We appreciate you taking your time out of your busy schedule to be on our show tonight. And, I got to admit, I haven't followed a whole lot of Arcanum football this year, but I'm definitely going to be following you guys the rest of the year out. Wish you the best of luck. You're bringing a lot of great positive feel to that community. And, go Trojans.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Coach. All right, as the head coach of the Arcanum Trojans football team, Jason Schondelmyer. And Ken, I think you're ready to run through a brick wall.
I think I can throw. I think I can take a few snaps out of the shotgun. I think I could hit somebody over the middle.
All right, well, speaking of a couple stars, let's head back to the sound room and check in with TK and Heavy D. And TK, we got to get you out of here. You got a volleyball game I think you're calling in about 30 minutes, and to top it off, it's over at Miami East.
Yeah, I got to get moving. I think the car's already running in the driveway, and I'll hit her running, and we'll see if we can get there in time.
Well, listen, we were talking CCC football tonight. We talked some MAC football. Didn't talk a whole lot about SCAL, but I want to know who's your SCAL star of the week.
Well, you already talked a little bit about them. I got to go with the Fort Lauderdale Redskins. Their senior leader, Zach Plyman, shot the 77 medalist honors and leads his team at that 339 district championship. Got him into the state championship or state tournament over there in Columbus. So big day for him, big day for the Redskins and their golf program. So well done there. Obviously, you also already did the shout outs to the rest of the Shelby County League. Really proud of that golf tradition they're starting to build. Great to see all that going on Tuesday.
Yeah,
So
making
Zach
history,
Plyman,
that's for sure. It's been fun to follow, and I look forward to following for one more week. And Heavy D, anything in the mailbag this week?
Yeah, quick shout out to Coach Turner from Laramie, Coach Brett Meyer from Botkins. I've hung out with those guys a little bit on the golf course over the years. Both class acts. Golf's a funny game. It's you don't always end up going to the state, and those guys live through the best and worst of it. And it's their year, and congratulations to them. They both run good programs. They're both humble gentlemen, and I wish them all the best of luck. Moving on to the mailbag. Dear Heavy D, 4 foot of snow in the Northern Rockies. What's the take? What's the prediction for Ohio this winter? So I did a little quick research, went to the Farmer's Almanac, and the Farmer's Almanac says that it's going to be a polar coaster of a winter, meaning extremely cold. So prepare Ohio for that.
Polar coaster.
A polar coaster.
All right.
Yeah. But I always default to Grandpa Heavy, what he told me growing up. He said, you got to look at the woolly worm. And the woolly worm, if he's traveling south, that means he's heading to warmer weather. So that's a sign of a cold winter. But also a black woolly worm is also another sign of a cold winter. So I couldn't find any. So I asked my son, Zach. I know he has one. And I said, Zach, what's the prediction with the woolly worm? And Zach said, Dad, it's going to be a warm winter. So
that looks like a woolly worm.
Yeah.
yeah.
I know if you'd have had your other son on there, it would have been a black
It
woolly
would have been,
one.
yeah.
I wonder where you were going with that, Heavy D. A polar coaster.
Polar
winter.
coaster. So it's kind of a coin
And willy
flip.
worms and
You know what I
all
love
kinds
about
of
Heavy
stuff.
D back here? You always gain knowledge. At the end
just-
of the
yeah.
show, I go to bed here in a little while, and I'll just sleep on that thinking, what the heck is a polar coaster?
Yeah, you're right. I'm going to have to think on that one a little bit tonight.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's about 95 in the sound room right now, though.
All right, that's going to wrap it up for those guys, and that's going to wrap it up for us as well, Ken. Do you want to say special thanks to our guest, Jason Shondelmyer, for joining us on the show tonight. Ken and I and the crew will all be back again next week, same time, same place. Until then, have a great week, everyone.
Hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond, hanging at the fishing pond. For your latest news and high school sports, tune in to the fishing pond. Don't need no bed, don't need no pole when you tune in to the fishing pond. Hanging at the fishing pond,